I didn't see you there. Come in. Welcome. Today we'll be discussing Chapter 28. I hope you enjoy the following ed puzzle. Thank you. Argumentation. Chapter 28. How to write a persuasive essay. And thank you for arguing. In Chapter 28, it was focused heavily on how to properly persuade your audience by connecting with them, entertaining them, revealing your flaws, and telling a story. In this chapter, it focused on Michel de Montaigne's journey in creating the essay and becoming the founder of the persuasive writing we know today. Montaigne's persuasion when creating the essay was that it offered more than a great way to improve your writing game. It can help you feel better about yourself and maybe heal a whole society. Because keep in mind, he was writing in 1571 in an era where his surroundings were torn by war. Now, to gain a further grasp on Chapter 28, we need to be able to understand the key terms. Some important terms that were brought up during this chapter were tactical flaw, theme twist, epiphany, and narrative arc. So, a tactical flaw is being able to reveal your imperfections. It's taking a statement, something close to you, and showing the world. Because even if it's something dear and private, chances are somebody's been through that situation before in the past, and they'll be able to relate to you. An example of this would be admitting to doing something that isn't necessarily right to grow a deeper trust with who you're communicating with. A theme twist is providing information but then implying a contrarian twist. This means that you are stating a fact or belief about a topic and then applying a little bit of the opposite to it, just to show that you understand what you're talking about. An example would be slightly contradicting yourself in attempts to persuade someone and get them to realize that you understand both sides of the argument. Our next term is epiphany. An epiphany is ways of showing growth and a discovery of what you're trying to convey. This means you're showing your audience how you realized your point, how everything finally clicked into place. An example would be showing people the moment where everything made sense, the moment where everything clicked in your head when you were learning. Like with teacher checks in math class. Or me occasionally going, "Oh!" midway through class. Except you're explaining why you went "oh" instead of just interrupting. Our final key term is the narrative arc. Now, I believe you may be familiar with the narrative arc. It's something that we've followed through most of our personal narratives or our fictional narratives. It's the storytelling outline, the exposition, the conflict, the rising action, the climax, falling action, and resolution. Chances are that your fellow classmate has a book that they'd be willing to let you borrow, as most stories follow the narrative arc. Otherwise, you can think back to narratives you had to write in the past for previous assignments. Now that we've discussed the key terms, we can get into what really made Chapter 28 Chapter 28. It was heavily focused on entertaining the audience. To be able to entertain your audience, you need to make sure that they don't tap out from boredom, to make sure that you're agreeing with them, or potentially even disagreeing with them to an extent that makes them a little bit angry where they want to know why you believe these things. It's entirely about keeping your audience, because if you can't keep your audience, you're never going to get your point across to anyone. They'll all just stop listening. The next point is to tell a story, to make sure that you show your developments and how you came across the understanding of the topic, and to follow the narrative arc. Try to get to your point in 1 to 2 sentences, because if I personally can't figure out what's going on, I'm going to lose interest. And you don't want to lose the interest of your audience. And finally, you need to try to connect with the audience and get them entangled in your essay and make them crave the knowledge of the answers you'll provide. Make them feel like you're one of them and show them your weaknesses. If your audience isn't entertained, they won't pay attention and you won't be able to get your point across. The Onion does an amazing job of being entertaining, as they create articles for satirical purposes only. They're able to keep the reader's attention and make their point, even if their point is to poke fun at things. Here's an excerpt from the article by The Onion called, "The White House Raises Official Hurricane Florence Death Toll to -17. Proclaiming that the government's rescue efforts have brought several U.S. citizens into the world, the White House announced Monday that the official Hurricane Florence death toll had been raised to negative 17. Thanks to President Trump's incredible hurricane response team, the population of North and South Carolina is actually skyrocketing, with over a dozen people being born, spontaneously generating, or being resurrected, said White House Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders, adding that desperate 90-mile-per-hour winds and 7-foot flood zones, FEMA and the National Guard had found several newborns, clones, and reincarnated individuals nearly every hour on the hour.